cage. So we walked up there, and I could see women kind of milling around in there, but nobody would pay attention to us. And I said, hey, can I get some help over here? And one of the ladies turned and she was like, it is lunchtime. You're going to have to come back after lunch. And I said, okay, well, my buddy just got shot in the back in the parking lot, and he's standing here bleeding all over your floor. Is there some place you'd like me to have him stand until you're done with lunch? Wasn't that about how it went down? Yeah. And I shit you not, Dustin, it was like the movies where something happens and the papers fly off the desks and everything. I've told people for years, if I had pulled the pin on a grenade and rolled it into that office, I could not have gotten more response than saying it the way I said it. And they were literally screaming and running around, and they were like, where's the nurse? Where's the nurse? And they said, she just left for lunch. And they said, because no cell phones back in those days. Somebody find her. You know, and so some people are going trying to find the nurse, and they said, we've got to get you over to the nurse's office. So we take off walking. I'm still holding on to that other guy, you know, and we get over to the nurse's office, and the nurse came running up and unlocked the door just as we got there. They had caught her before she got out there. And so they go in and they put Scott face down on a table, and man, the sirens are already coming. You could hear them coming, you know. And they lay him down, and Cred, I don't think he was in there 2 minutes before the paramedics and shit started running in, and the cops with them. And the cops are like, all right, who did this? And I'm like, still holding on to this guy. And that was the last we saw of him. The cops took him, and that was the end of his involvement in the whole episode. I told him what had happened, you know. Well, his paramedic came in, Scott's laying there, and they cut his shirt, and he's laying there on this nurse's table, face down, and every time his heart would beat, blood would shoot out of that hole in his back. And that paramedic would wipe it off, wipe it off, wipe it off, and he's like, well, and it was weird. It looked like you took an X-Acto knife and just like, thump, and just stabbed him. It was just a vertical slit in his back. And the guy was like, well, I think it's just a scratch. And I said, I'm just a high school kid and all, but I recognize arterial bleeding when I see it.
Yes.
And it was the same thing. If you'd like dump cold water on this guy, you couldn't have got him to recoil anymore when it was like the realization of, oh shit, yeah, he's right, you know.
I think it's just a scratch, no big deal.
So they loaded him in the ambulance and went tearing off out of there, and pretty much it was just me and the nurse standing around. I'm like, okay, see you later, you know. And so they took him to the hospital and did surgery. And I went to my dad's cycle shop, his Harley shop. And as luck would have it, we were aligning the belt drive on a Harley, on the rear of a Harley. And so my dad would make an adjustment, because you have to get both the tension and the alignment right. So he would make an adjustment, I would check the tension, and then he would spin the tire, and we would see if it was running true. And then he'd make another adjustment. Well, I reached up to check the tension, and he spun the tire. And it ran these 3 fingers through the belt drive. Now, it ran them through, and it was tight enough that it stopped the tire. It went funk. And I was like, oh, shit. And he spin them back out, but they looked like spoons on the end, where it just mashed all the meat off of them. The bone was showing and everything. It was a mangled mess. And so, long story short, went to the hospital. There's some funny stories in there too, but in the end, I ended up with my hand all bandaged up and shit like that, and a wonderful prescription for Percodan that I didn't take. I saved it until my hand quit hurting, and then started taking them 2 a day before school. Anyway, and it was funny because Scott, normally I drove. But it got to where I would drive to his house, and then he would get in and drive us to school, you know. And I'm sitting over there holding my hand. I'm like, God, this thing really hurts. And he's like, well, didn't they give you something for that? And I was like, yeah, but I don't want to waste them on pain, you know. So anyway, we get to the school, and he goes his way, and I go my way, and I'm walking down the hall, and these 2 really pretty teenage girls, you know, high school girls, came running up to me, all out of breath and everything. They were like that, and they're like, they looked at my hand, and they were like, is that where you got shot in the hand diving to protect Scott from the bullet? And I started to say, what the? Yes. Yes, that's
That's exactly what happened.
funnier than shit. And then we were lost to the annals of time. That was our 15 seconds of fame. You know?
Oh, that's funny.